Hello there you guys, welcome to one of my live videos, and today I'm just be officially updating you on some more current transfer rumours and gossip. So if you do consider drop your likes, and if you do consider subscribe to the channel as always. So just going to give you some additional information in regards to Bruno Fernandes, also lots of other things to currently talk about and all that, but we will start with Bruno Fernandes. So now according to the media and all that, Manchester United now have reached an agreement with Sporting Lisbon for Bruno Fernandes, and allegedly it does say that Bruno Fernandes has agreed personal terms with Manchester United, but at the moment it does seem to be the fee that is the stumbling block and all that, because Sporting Lisbon have said they want around is it 58 or 60 million pounds something like that. But initially Manchester United are planning to sign Bruno Fernandes for 22 million pounds less than what currently Bruno Sporting Lisbon are currently demanding and all that. So essentially it did initially say yesterday that we had around a 35 million pound bid turned down for Bruno Fernandes, because obviously this is too insufficient for Sporting Lisbon, because obviously they want somewhere in the region of around 60 million pounds. But Ole Gunnar Solskjaer actually wants to sign Bruno Fernandes from Sporting Lisbon and Sean Longstaff from Newcastle. So hopefully we can get two deals concluded this week. Obviously so far we have got two players on the board. Daniel James for 18 million pounds. Obviously Anwan Saka in a deal with around 50 million pounds and all that. And obviously it's our first two signings under the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer era, and I think that does take our net spend up to around 68 million pounds so far this summer on two players. But obviously Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is going to want to build on that and all that, and bring at least three more new additions to the squad. So I think now Solskjaer's priorities will be to add reinforcements in that midfield. Also recommend a central defender to come in. But I think actually the club now need to actually orchestrate on selling players and all that, because I do believe we need to sanction off players to help us generate funds and rebuild the squad and all that. Because as reports came out a couple of weeks ago, it did say that we've allegedly been only given £100 million to spend, and obviously we do know that £100 million is nowhere near enough to address the deficiencies in the squad. Obviously it isn't enough for us to bring a number of players in bring a number of players in that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer wants in to Manchester United. So I think the club need to orchestrate on currently selling players to help us generate funds and rebuild the squad. I think with the Bruno Fernandes saga, I think his move to Manchester United is dependent on what happens with Paul Pogba and all that. It did provide the reason, why it said, we've only been given £100 million to spend, because obviously, we're not in a Champions League football for next season. But I thought initially we'd been given around £200 million to spend. But the majority of this transfer window, basically, we have been focusing on the incomings, but I think we also need to focus on the outgoings and all that, and that is very, very essential. Obviously, we do know that we do go on tour in the next 6 or 7 in the next 6 days. Is 6 days, is it, or is it 7 days? We know Manchester United go on tour. Obviously, some players have now returned to training and all that. But yeah, like I said, with Bruno Fernandes saga, he's been widely spoken about throughout the course of this window. But obviously, we've been, the favourites, to sign Bruno Fernandes at least for the last couple of weeks and all that. But Sporting has been said, they want around 60 million pounds for him. Obviously, Liverpool had been interested in him. Obviously, Tottenham had been interested in him, but recent reports have confirmed now that Liverpool and Tottenham, of course, have withdrawn their interest in Bruno Fernandes. Obviously, it did get confirmed a couple of weeks ago that Liverpool had lodged a bidding of around €45 million. Obviously, that equates to around £40 million in sterling. But obviously, this figure is not going to be enough, for Sporting Lisbon to currently offload him. Did get confirmed last week. We'd held more extensive talks with Bruno Fernandes' agent and all that. Of course, over getting a deal concluded. Came out a couple of weeks ago saying that also, Tottenham had been in negotiations with Bruno Fernandes' agent. So it did say Tottenham had stepped up their interest in Bruno Fernandes, because obviously, Tottenham have got quite a few players on their agenda. Obviously, Tottenham haven't done any transfer business in the last couple of windows. So obviously, Tottenham are going to want to do transfer business this summer. And obviously, Mauricio Pochettino is going to want backing. So they have been in for Bruno Fernandes. Obviously, Christian Eriksen is linked to move away from Tottenham. So I do presume, and obviously, Tottenham are going to want a replacement for Christian Eriksen if he does leave Tottenham. I think there were more talks over the weekend saying that Manchester United had been in for him. He's also been linked to move to to Real Madrid, and obviously Tottenham do know how much of an imperative player Christian Eriksen is, so if he does leave, Tottenham of course are going to want an adequate replacement for him. Tanguy Ndombele, I think he's actually on the verge of making a move to Tottenham. It does say in the media Manchester United could still hijack, a deal, to get Tanguy Ndombele on the board, but I would say more than likely, he's out of the equation now for Manchester United as Tanguy Ndombele. And I do believe also Tottenham have been in for Giovanni Lo Celso, so Tottenham have got quite a few, players on their agenda, because I think Tottenham are orchestrating on spending fairly big this summer. But it has confirmed now anyway, is Manchester United that are only in the running now for Bruno Fernandes, because Tottenham have withdrawn their interest. Liverpool, of course, have withdrawn their interest. But reflecting back about 6 or 7 weeks ago now, it was looking like, Manchester City were going to get a deal concluded for Bruno Fernandes, but obviously did get confirmed a while back that City have withdrawn their interest, and they are now no longer in the race for Bruno Fernandes. But I do believe Bruno Fernandes would be a fantastic, adequate replacement for Paul Pogba. He is only 24 years of age, but I do believe from Bruno Fernandes' preference and all that, I think he's keen on making the move to Manchester United, even though we're not in Champions League football for next season, because I think, he believes him coming to Manchester United, it's going to be beneficial for his career and all that. And I think, he's attracted to the history and mystique of Manchester United, as he was explaining the other week. Bruno Fernandes has been at Sporting Lisbon a couple of seasons. He scored 31 goals last season for Sporting Lisbon, so, did really, really well. So if he comes to Manchester United, he'll rejuvenate the team, he'll bring us them goals that we need in that midfield. He's also very, very creative. And I think he would add depth in our midfield. And Bruno Fernandes coming to the Premier League, it will take his footballing career to the next level and all that. Like I said, he's been at Sporting, he's been a couple of seasons, and he has exceeded expectation levels. Still got a hell of a lot of development in him. Only 24 years of age, and obviously Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has worked out his transfer strategy for this summer. Obviously, he wants to recommend a number of young players to come in that can grow, develop, and emulate into superstars. And I do believe Bruno Fernandes can, emulate into a superstar, if he does come to the Premier League and all that. So probably his move to Manchester United is looking very, very imminent and all that. But the fee, seems to be the problem at the moment. But I think Man United will hold more extensive talks with Sporting Lisbon over coming to an agreement on a fee. But Bruno Fernandes, did spend the majority of his career in Italy, when he was young, the likes of Sampdoria and Udinese and all that. I think he also played for Novria, and he's still got 4 years remaining on his deal with Sporting Lisbon. I think he's under contract with them until 2023. But, we're trying to get him for the fee, as low as we can and all that. But Sporting Lisbon have said, they want around, is it between 55 or 68 million pounds? So I do believe, we should just pay what Sporting Lisbon are currently demanding and all that, because look what we saw last summer. We paid £50 million for Fred and all that. You can't put Fred in Bruno Fernandes' calibre or level. Fred hasn't got a fantastic pedigree, let's be honest. He was a fundamental player, Shakhtar Donetsk was Fred, but he hasn't really replicated this form at Manchester United. We paid £50 million for him. Obviously, of course, he's one of our most expensive signings. Fred did demonstrate himself, towards the back end of last season. He did put some good performances in and all that, but I still don't know if he's a long-term solution for Manchester United and all that. So I do believe we should just pay, what Sporting Lisbon are demanding. But like I said, Bruno Fernandes coming to Manchester United, it could be dependent on what happens with Paul Pogba and all that. So I do believe we need 2 new additions in that midfield, because if Pogba leaves, we're going to need a replacement for him, and we also need a replacement for Ander Herrera and all that. But I do believe anywhere our next 2 signings are probably going to be Sean Longstaff from Newcastle and Bruno Fernandes from Sporting Lisbon. Obviously, I've been giving you an update regularly, haven't I, within regards to Sean Longstaff. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's instructed our board, to get a deal completed for Sean Longstaff sometime this week. He is available for a reasonable figure, and quite a few people said, we should be sensible with our recruitment this summer. I think the club actually are moving away from the policy, of signing them well-established players, as you all know. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's policies, pursuing young players and all that. And Sean Longstaff is only 21 years of age. I do believe Newcastle want around £20 million plus add-ons, but I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's instructed Manchester United, to meet what Newcastle, of course, are demanding. So I do believe Sean Longstaff is valued from 25 million, to £30 million and all that. He did initially say last week, we was preparing to put an opening bid in for him of around £15 million plus add-ons included. But I think that we have been given a boost in our pursuit of Sean Longstaff, following the departure of Rafael Benitez. Sean Longstaff, obviously, last season was his first season in the senior squad with Newcastle. He did make his debut, back in December of last year. And I think he flourished under Rafa Benitez's guidance last season. I think he played, was it about 11 games under Rafa Benitez. Obviously, he's under contract with Newcastle to 2022. He obviously signed this, I think, this new long-term contract, was it last year and all that. But obviously, Sean Longstaff, didn't play the remainder of the last couple of months of last season, due to that. He did sustain a knee ligament injury and all that. And obviously, I still believe he's recovering. He's still regaining full fitness and all that. So I do believe he is recovering from his knee ligament injury. His Sean Longstaff and all that. But I'm very, very confident. We can get a deal finalised for him. So I do believe there's a lot of credibility. Linking Sean Longstaff would move to Manchester United. He initially began his career with Newcastle. He also had loan spells with Kilmarnock and Blackpool, but he is only 21 years of age. I think he's also British, and obviously there's been quite a few British players on our agenda, obviously, because Ole Gunnar Solskjaer wants to recruit British talents to Manchester United this summer and all that. I think he's actually primarily a central midfielder. Comparing Sean Longstaff and Bruno Fernandes, obviously Bruno Fernandes is a lot more experienced than Sean Longstaff and all that, but obviously Sean Longstaff is a cheaper solution. So I think probably Bruno Fernandes to Manchester United probably is dependent on what happens with Paul Pogba. But like I said, I probably do expect around 4 or 5 players to leave Manchester United this summer. Obviously, we do know Valencia's left the club. Obviously, he served 10 years there with Manchester United. Obviously, we do know that Ander Herrera's left them on a free transfer. Obviously, it's looking very imminent that Darmian and Rojo will leave the club, and I think we can generate around 25 or 30 million pounds for the departures of Darmian and Rojo. But I think, if we sell Paul Pogba and we sell Romelu Lukaku, obviously, that duo, have been relentlessly, linked to will move away from the club. Obviously, Pogba and Lukaku are our two most expensive signings because, we have spent big on players, especially in recent years, like I currently said. But, Pogba, 89 million we paid for, Lukaku we paid 75 million pounds. So obviously, like I said, they are our two most expensive signings. But I do believe if we can sanction both players off this summer, we can generate around, 200 million pounds for their departures. So if we can get rid of them, that will help us with our rebuilding process, and of course it will help us with our transition and all that. But Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, as we all know, is working on bringing the right players to Manchester United. We think are going to elevate Manchester United forward and all that. He's obviously wants to bring players in who he thinks are going to fit the culture of the club and fit the history of the club and all that, because we do know that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer wants to build a squad worthy of the club's history, and obviously we need to see vast improvements going on into this season, because last season was very disappointing. We didn't win any silverware last season. We finished 6th. Obviously, we didn't qualify for the Champions League and all that, but we need to see vast improvements going on into this season. But I think, going on to this season, I think, our expectations, definitely, we'll be able to finish in the top 4 probably, and I do believe in the next couple of seasons, our aspirations, will be at that top 4. I don't believe we'll be challenging for the league next season or winning the league next season and all that. I don't see that, currently I'm happy to be quite honest with you, but like I said, I don't think, we'll be mounting a title challenge up at least for the next couple of years, because obviously at the moment City is strides ahead of us, obviously Liverpool and that strides ahead of us, and it's very imperative that we catch up with the likes of Manchester City and Liverpool. Like I did say to you, we have We have been a toxic club for the last 5 or 6 years, since Alex Ferguson retired and all that. We've had different managers with different philosophies. A hell of a lot of money has been invested into the club and all that. And the main factor reason why we've been a toxic club for the last 5 or 6 years, obviously, we've been mismanaged, and this is the main factor reason, of course, why we have been underachieving and all that. We haven't won the Premier League, since 2013. Obviously, that was in our last season under Alex Ferguson. Obviously, that's over 6 years ago now and all that. And we haven't won much silver, since Ferguson retired. We won the FA Cup under Louis van Gaal era. Obviously, we won the Europa League and League Cup under the Jose Mourinho era. Obviously, that came in Jose Mourinho's first season and all that. But I do believe going on to this season, like I said, our aspirations, definitely will be that top 4 and all that. But I'm hopeful Ole Gunnar Solskjaer can take Manchester United forward, and hopefully he has got the stature, to get us in that commanding position, of course, where we do currently want to be. But it's good that he's emphasising his targets and all that. But like I said, I did initially say, we need at least 5 new additions to the squad, and obviously Ole Gunnar Solskjaer did say he wants to bring at least 5 new players in and all that. But like I said, I hope it works out under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I hope it works out under him because we haven't got the structure to keep sacking managers because obviously we've already sacked 3 managers, since Alex Ferguson retired and all that. And look, analysing it, most of this squad is not Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Two of the players obviously we've got, obviously Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's now. Daniel James is Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's, and Wan-Bissaka, of course, is Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's. But the rest of it, isn't Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's and all that. So obviously, he's still in the process of rebuilding and all that. But like I did say, we've got to be ruthless in this summer transfer window, and that's very, very essential. But also, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer he's trying to work on keeping in his imperative players in the football club. But Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, he's following Alex Ferguson's philosophy, and I do believe that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer believes he's actually following a policy that did prove successful under Alex Ferguson. So I do believe we've got to give Ole Gunnar Solskjaer at least a year, or maybe even 2 years, to see how it currently works out and all that. Because he was a great player for Manchester United, for 11 years under Alex Ferguson. He hasn't really got the experience of a manager, not to the highest level. He's got some experience of a manager, but not really to the highest level and all that. But it does concern me a bit. But Solskjaer is at a club that he knows inside out and all that. He knows the culture of the club and all that. He was a great player for us. Obviously, managed the Manchester United reserve team for a couple of years and all that. He watched some of this team at this day and age, grow and develop and all that. But yeah, like I said, I hope it, currently works out under him. But like I said about Bruno Fernandes, I want us to get a deal over the line for him. Solskjaer basically, I think, wants 2 deals completed this week, and he wants to get the deal finalised for Sean Longstaff, and also, wants to get the deal over the line for Bruno Fernandes. But like I said, Bruno Fernandes would be a good, adequate replacement for Paul Pogba. Want to give you some additional information about Paul Pogba, by the way. I think Paul Pogba sometime this week, is set to demand his transfer exit from Manchester United and all that. So potentially it did say last week that Paul Pogba, was set to ask Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, to let him leave the club and all that. And he did say Paul Pogba, will make a personal plea, to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, to allow Paul Pogba to leave the football club. I think potentially Paul Pogba is set to hold talks with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer regarding his future and all that. Obviously, Paul Pogba did confirm a couple of weeks ago and all that. He told he notified reporters in Tokyo that he's seeking for a new challenge. Obviously, Paul Pogba publicly admitted that he does want to leave Manchester United and all that. And this was the first time he publicly admitted this, because like I said, he's seeking for a new challenge. Obviously, Paul Pogba wants to rejuvenate his career and all that. And I think, like I said, the couple of main factor reasons why he probably wants to leave Manchester United, because maybe he wants to be playing amongst better players and he isn't playing amongst good enough players at Manchester United. Maybe he wants to be in Champions League football, and I did say, it's going to be hard for us to bring our number 1 targets in, and it's also going to be hard for us to convince players to stay at the football club, because obviously we're not in Champions League football. Paul Pogba also may want to be winning silverware and obviously competing and all that, and obviously he's not experiencing this at Manchester United. So maybe these are the couple of main factor reasons why he does want to leave the club. I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is doing everything he can, to try and convince Paul Pogba to remain at the football club. But essentially, it was in Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's plans, to actually, build a side around Paul Pogba. But I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, knows how much of an imperative player he is. Obviously, we do know it's Real Madrid and Juventus that are battling out for his services. Obviously, it did confirm a couple of weeks ago that Paul Pogba was even willing to go on strike, to force a move away from Manchester United. But we do know Paul Pogba's first choice preference for quite some time has obviously been Real Madrid. Obviously, we do know his likely destination, of course, has been Real Madrid. But like I said, it's Real Madrid and Juventus that are battling out for his services. But at least last couple of weeks, Juventus have stepped up their interest in Paul Pogba, so they are interested in re-signing him. It also said that Juventus have been in negotiations with Paul Pogba's agent, Mini Raiola, and it did also get confirmed a couple of weeks ago that Juventus, did hold more extensive talks, because obviously the Juventus director, came to London, to hold more negotiation with Manchester United over the possibility of re-signing Paul Pogba and all that. I was reading a lot of reports about last week about the Paul Pogba saga, and he did actually say he'd made a decision on his future, and he did say actually, Paul Pogba is keen on making the return return back to cheering, because don't forget, Paul Pogba, had 4 good years in cheering. He exceeded expectation levels, but really hasn't replicated this form since he did make the return to Manchester United and all that. Didn't really replicate this, but probably more than likely, Juventus would probably have to offload at least 1 or 2 of their essential players, to fund the move for Paul Pogba, because I doubt, Juventus, would be able to afford him outright, because obviously, we have put a huge transfer fee on Paul Pogba. I think we initially indicated that he's not for sale, but he did say, we would accept a bid in the region around £150 million. But like I did say, even though he hasn't been the fundamental player as we all thought he would have been, I'd still say Paul Pogba is worth at this day and age in the region of around 140 or 150 million pounds, because he's still got a hell of a lot of years ahead of him. Obviously, he has demonstrated, that he can, play well and all that, and he has done this at Manchester United, mainly in that 3-month period, when Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, was their interim manager, and arguably, Paul Pogba is still one of the best midfielders in world football. But we've said one around 150 million. Obviously, this is a figure that Real Madrid, of course, are not willing to meet and all that. I still believe that Paul Pogba is one of Zinedine Zidane's main priority targets. Obviously, Real Madrid have done good business in this summer transfer window so far. Obviously, I think they've got around 5 players on the board. I think Real Madrid have spent over £300 million this summer. Obviously, they did spend £150 million on Eden Hazard and all that. But like I said, also Juventus, Juventus are doing a really, really good business in this current transfer window so far. They've got Adrian Rabiot on the board. Obviously, they've signed Matty Sedl for Ajax. Obviously, they've got Aaron Ramsey in that on the board. But like I did say, Juventus more than likely, would have to offload a couple of their players to fund the move for Paul Pogba. Like I currently said. But we said, want £150 million for him. But Paul Pogba did say at some point in his career, he does want to play for Real Madrid, and he was talking a while back, about his dreams of playing for Real Madrid, and he did classify them as one of the biggest clubs in the world and all that. But he's been favoured, to go for Real Madrid, to quite some time and all that. Now, obviously, Paul Pogba's still got 2 years remaining on his contract with Manchester United, with an option to extend it by a further year. Obviously, we do know that Paul Pogba is on around £290,000 a week and all that in his current deal. Obviously, a lot of reports were coming out the other week saying that we was willing to offer Paul Pogba a long-term contract, worth up to around £500,000 a week and all that. But it came out about 4 or 5 weeks ago saying that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was willing to offer Paul Pogba the captaincy in a bid, to convince him to remain at the football club. But we do know that Paul Pogba's agent, Mini Raiola, at least in the last couple of months, has been, in the process of finding Paul Pogba a new club. But Paul Pogba's blatantly made it clear, he does want to leave Manchester United and all that. Real Madrid are obviously orchestrating on, trying to sell 1 or 2 of their players, as part of the deal to lure Paul Pogba away from Manchester United. Obviously, they have, they were planning, to offer us Gareth Bale as part of the deal with Pogba and all that. And if Pogba does go to Real Madrid, possibly, maybe Bale, could be still part of the deal and all that. Obviously, I was reading a report the other day. It did say Real Madrid were willing to offer us Isco as part of the deal for Paul Pogba. But like I said, Paul Pogba's been subject to a hell of a lot of transfer speculation, and obviously he was subject to a lot of transfer speculation last year, based on his poor relationship with Jose Mourinho and all that. Obviously, Paul Pogba got one of his best wishes when Jose Mourinho left the club. Obviously, Paul Pogba is a World Cup winner. Obviously, with the club, he's won the Europa League and the League Cup. Obviously, that came in his second season with Manchester United. Actually, we had Paul Pogba, when he was younger and all that. Obviously, this is reflecting back under the Alex Ferguson era. I think we did get Paul Pogba from Lee Harvey, was it, back in 2009. Obviously, did serve a couple of years in the youth setup, with Manchester United and all that. So he was the product of the youth academy with Manchester United, and then he made a couple of first team appearances, a couple of years later, but based on limited appearances under Alex Ferguson. Obviously, this is the main factor reason why Paul Pogba got let. Well, we let Paul Pogba go on a free transfer to Juventus, and obviously, he had 4 good years in cheering, and obviously, we got him back in 2016 for £89 million. So obviously, this is Paul Pogba's second spell with Manchester United and all that. But I do believe, we need to currently get rid of him. Even though I think he's a very, very imperative player, but I think I want to get rid of him because, it will help us generate funds and rebuild the squad and all that. But quite a few players we are in for in that midfield, is dependent on what happens, of course, with Paul Pogba. But like I said, Bruno Fernandes, would be the good adequate replacement for him. But there has been quite a few midfielders on our current agenda. Like I said, I think the vast majority of Manchester United fans, would like to see James Maddison, currently coming. And there has been quite a bit of talks going on about him. I have been reading up about James Maddison in the last couple of weeks, and he did basically say he's allegedly interested in making a move to Manchester United and all that. Is James Maddison, and he did basically say he wanted to meet up with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Obviously, James Maddison's tenacity is really, really good. He breaks up the play very, very well. He can create chances. He can score goals, he can provide them and all that, and he did demonstrate that last season in his debut season in the Premier League with Leicester. Last season he made 36 appearances in the Premier League, scored 7 goals, provided 7 assists and all that, and last season he created more chances than any other player did, James Maddison and all that. So yeah, very, very good player, only 22 years of age, primarily an attacking midfielder and all that. But yeah, Leicester did get him last summer from Norwich for around £20 million, because he did serve a good couple of years in the Championship with Norwich. I think he also had a loan spell in Scotland with Aberdeen. Initially, when he was younger, he actually began his career with Coventry. Obviously, was a product of their academy and all that, and graduated from their youth system. And I think quite a few teams have been tracking him, since he was a teenager at Coventry. But a lot of stories, came out about this. Was it 3 or 4 weeks ago, saying that we emerged him as a priority target, and he did say if Leicester were willing to sell him, they would want around £60 million for James Maddison. But again, I think he, would be a good replacement for Paul Pogba. Obviously, there's been a lot of talks, well, not recently, but there was a lot of talks going on a couple of weeks ago about Yari Tillemans and all. I think the vast majority of Manchester United fans, would like to see Yari Tillemans, come in. Obviously, Yari Tillemans is proven in the Premier League. Obviously, he had around 5 or 6 months of experience under his belt in the Premier League, because obviously, he had been on loan with Leicester since January. He had been on loan with Leicester since January. He did really, really well. Obviously, he's now made the return to Monaco. But I think Yari Tillemans did confirm the other week, he will not be staying with Monaco next season and all that. But reports were coming out a couple of weeks ago, saying that we'd rekindled our interest in Yari Tillemans. And he did reportedly say, we had been in contact with Yari Tillemans' agent over getting a possible deal concluded. I think Monaco, do rate him at around £40 million. I think he is under contract with Monaco until 2022. Leicester have been in talks of getting Yari Tillemans on a permanent deal and all that, because I think Leicester and Brendan Rodgers are actually orchestrating on partnering up Yari Tillemans with James Maddison in their midfield, because probably Leicester believe they'll complement each other really, really well, and of course they believe there will be a fantastic partnership with Yari Tillemans and James Maddison. Yari Tillemans, of course, he's only 22 years of age, so he has still got a hell of a lot of years ahead of him and all that. I think also Tottenham have been interested in him, also Manchester City have been interested in him. I think Arsenal at one point inquired about his services. Monaco, obviously, I think got him in 2017 for around £21 million for Anderlecht. He obviously began his career with Anderlecht, did Yari Tillemans, and I do believe at that point, Manchester United of course were tracking him. But like I said again, I think Yari Tillemans' move to Manchester United is dependent on what happens with Paul Pogba. I was reading recent reports, he did actually say now we've reportedly rejected the opportunity, to sign Yari Tillemans and all that. But there has been talks about him going on. Obviously, as I've been updating you quite recently, in regards to Ivan Rakitic from Barcelona and all that, like I said, Ivan Rakitic's pedigree is really, really good. He has had a fantastic career, is Ivan Rakitic. There is, no doubt about that in my mind. But, I just don't think now, I think if he did come to the Premier League now, I just don't think he'd succeed in the Premier League. I just don't think now he's got the attributes, to come and succeed in the Premier League. Obviously, maybe I may be proven wrong, but obviously Ivan Rakitic obviously hasn't played in the Premier League as yet. He does reportedly say that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has instructed Manchester United, to sign Ivan Rakitic, to replace Paul Pogba, because he did say, we have, made initial contact with Barcelona of the possibility of signing Ivan Rakitic. But stories were coming out about this, was it about 3 weeks ago, saying that we'd had inquired about Ivan Rakitic's services and all that. Obviously he can play as a central midfielder. He can also play him as attacking midfielder. But like I said, Ivan Rakitic, probably would be a short-term player really if he came to Manchester United. Maybe we would get a couple of years out of him, but look at his age now. He is 31 21 years of age and all that. Ivan Rakitic has been at Barcelona in 5 years now. I think he's played about 169 games for Barcelona. I think in the La Liga, that is. I don't know how many appearances he's made in all competitions, and I think he scored around 24 goals. I still believe he's under contract with Barcelona. Is it until 2021? But recent reports were saying that we had lodged a bid in for him of around, was it £31 million. Obviously, this figure is too insufficient for Barcelona, because Barcelona have said they want in the region of around 44 or 45 million pounds and all that. So Barcelona are open to selling him, as Ernesto Valverde confirmed a couple of weeks ago. But they will only sell him if they do get a suitable offer for him, and of course if they can find an adequate replacement for him. But obviously Barcelona have got Frankie de Jong coming in and all that, and obviously, but I think Barcelona are orchestrating on bringing maybe a couple of midfielders in. Obviously, Frankie de Jong is going to, Ivan Rakitic is going to find himself surplus to requirements and all that. So he has been subject to quite a lot of transfer speculation. I think also Inter Milan have been in there for Ivan Rakitic, but I've got reservations about him, coming out to Manchester United, if I'm going to be quite honest with you. Obviously, before he was at Barcelona, he did play for Sevilla. I think he did have 3 years, with Sevilla. I think he actually won the Europa League with Sevilla. Obviously, the majority of his silver he has won has come at Barcelona. Obviously, before he was at Sevilla, I think he had 3.5 years with Schalke, and I think he actually began his professional career with Basel, when he was younger, did Ivan Rakitic. But like I said, I just wouldn't be keen on bringing him in to Manchester United. But like I said, do you think he would be a good replacement for Paul Pogba? So there has been so many midfielders on our current agenda. Like I said, I do believe we need a holding midfielder, because I do believe we need because I do believe Matic is too inconsistent. You do know I've got strong reservations about Emmanuel Matic. He's too slow. Plus, he's aging up and all that. He did prove himself. Last season, in a couple of his games, that he can play well, he can hold his line, his passing was really, really good, but he's just too slow. He's the Emmanuel Matic, and I do believe we need a holding midfielder that's fast and tenacious. Fellaini left back in January. Also, Scott McTominay is too inexperienced at the moment, so I do believe that we need a holding midfield, and I think that's very, very pivotal, of course. But yeah, like I said, still lots to address in the squad. Like I did say, Lukaku has been relentlessly, linked to move away from Manchester United. Like I said, he's been heavily linked to move to Inter Milan. Obviously, Inter Milan are, trying to generate enough funds, to meet that £75 million valuation and all that. Obviously, as it did confirm, was it last week, saying that Romelu Lukaku's agent had been in Milan. He'd held a negotiation with Inter Milan. He'd held talks with them, like I said. Obviously, from Lukaku's agent's perspective, he did say, Lukaku wants to leave Manchester United. He wants to rejuvenate his career. He wants a new challenge. And he also said that Inter Milan are still trying to sign Romelu Lukaku. But like I said, Antonio Conte has identified, Romelu Lukaku as his number one target and all that. Obviously, the fee seems to be problematic for Inter Milan at the moment. I think Inter Milan are offloading a couple of their players, to help them generate funds, to meet that £75 million valuation. So basically, we're looking to recoup the money that we did pay for him from Everton, a couple of years ago, because we did pay £75 million for him. Obviously, there were 15 million add-ons included, which did potentially rise it to £90 million. Obviously, he's got his Lukaku still got 3 years left on his contracts, and I think he's on take home around 250 grand a week and all that. So Lukaku is actually, he's our second most expensive player, and also he's one of the highest paid players at Manchester United and all that. But I do believe actually, everything's been agreed between Lukaku and Inter Milan, except the fee. I think he did say Lukaku has agreed the personal terms with Inter Milan. He allegedly said he has agreed a deal worth around £180,000 a week, and that with Inter Milan. But like I said, Inter Milan have been negotiating with us over coming to an agreement on a fee. Obviously, Lukaku recently described Antonio Conte as one of the best managers in the world. Obviously, he recently described him as one of the best managers in the world. So I do believe that Lukaku is keen on playing under Antonio Conte's guidance, because probably Lukaku believes he'll flourish under Antonio Conte's guidance and all that. And obviously, reflecting back a couple of years ago, and this is when Antonio Conte was the manager of Chelsea. Obviously, at that point when he was manager of Chelsea, he was desperate, to get Lukaku on the board. But obviously, he ended up, making the move to Manchester United. But Inter Milan orchestrated something out, and a lot of reports were coming out from Sky in Italy, last week. They were basically saying, that Inter Milan, were willing to offer us a £9 million loan fee, to take Lukaku on loan for the next 2 seasons, with then the obligation to buy for a further £54 million at the end of the loan and all that. So that does totally add up to around £63 million and all that. But more than likely, Manchester United, will reject that, because I think we're only willing to let Lukaku go on a permanent deal. But yeah, like I said, Lukaku's been at Manchester United, 2 years. Obviously, he scored 42 goals in 96 games for the club in all competitions. Lukaku was exceptional in his first season with Manchester United, but obviously, didn't really replicate that in his second season. But we do know now that Lukaku has initially lost his place in the team. Lukaku actually was first choice under Jose Mourinho, but since Jose Mourinho left, and obviously since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer got recommended in, obviously Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has preferred the likes of has preferred Rashford ahead of Romelu Lukaku, and I do believe Romelu Lukaku is reluctant, to play up a backup role to Marcus Rashford. But you do know I've got strong reservations about Romelu Lukaku. I think his ratio is still very, very good in the Premier League. His pedigree, and that's very, very good, because he has scored a lot of goals in the Premier League. But I do believe Lukaku wants to play his trade in Italy next season. Obviously, as it did confirm, that Inter Milan have tried offering us Mario Cardi in exchange for Romelu Lukaku. Also, they've tried offering us Ivan Perisic in exchange for Romelu Lukaku, but we actually turned this down because we do know that Ivan Perisic is no longer a Manchester United target and all that. He was a long-term target in Mourinho, but he's no longer now a Manchester United target. He's Ivan Perisic. But yeah, like I said, hopefully, we can find a way, to offload Romelu Lukaku. So obviously, we're in the market, to try and find a replacement for him. Obviously, a lot of reports were stemming out last week, about Wissam Ben Yedder, from Sevilla, and obviously, he would be the adequate replacement for Romelu Lukaku. I think, Wissam Ben Yedder's move to Manchester United is dependent on, obviously, what happens with Romelu Lukaku, because I think we're already willing to make a move for Wissam Ben Yedder, of course, if Lukaku, does leave the football club. Now, it didn't just say yesterday, or was it the day before, I was actually, reading up about this story, and this was coming, I think, from the Spanish press, and they were saying that PSG and Barcelona are interested in Wissam Ben Yedder, but reportedly from his own preference, he's keen on making a move to Manchester United. Wissam Ben Yedder is a forward. He's 28 years of age, so he's highly experienced. Obviously, he has served 3 years. He has served 3 years with Sevilla. I think his goal scoring pedigree is supposed to be very, very good. I think overall he's technically, a very, very good footballer. He's Wissam Ben Yedder. But I read his stats from last season. Last season, I think he scored 30 goals and provided around 10 or 11 assists in 54 games in all competitions last season. So that is very, very impressive. I think he's still got like 2 years remaining on his current deal with Sevilla. I think Sevilla did get him back in 2016 from Toulouse for around £9 million. I think he's about 5'7", Wissam Ben Yedder and all that. But I think reportedly he's keen on making the move to Manchester United. He is available for a reasonable figure, because I do believe his initial release clause is around £36 million. It did say Manchester United, of course, were willing to trigger that. But I think we have everything. We have everything agreed, to sign Ben Yedder. That's, of course, if Romelu Lukaku, does leave. But I think from his own preference, he's keen on making a move to Manchester United and all that. But I probably do believe Wissam Ben Yedder, would bring us them goals that we do need. But yeah, there's been quite a few players in our agenda, who could replace Romelu Lukaku. Obviously, there's been a lot of talks going on about Patrick Emerick Aubameyang, quite recently. But I did say with the Aubameyang saga and all that, I don't believe there's a lot of credibility, in Aubameyang, coming here to Manchester United. So I am very, very sceptical about Aubameyang, coming here to Manchester United. And I think the media, for the majority of the story, basically, just speculating and, justifying their existence on the majority of this story. Probably, I do believe Aubameyang probably may leave Arsenal, but he may end up, making the move to China, because obviously, he's being linked to a move to China. Reportedly, he'd been offered around $300,000 a week, to play in the Chinese Super League and all that. But, a lot, this case came out the other week, this was stemming from Andy Goldstein, who was a presenter of Talk Sport, and he did say Manchester United are supposedly interested in signing Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, and he did reportedly say, we was willing to pay up to £70 million for his services, but maybe with the Aubameyang to Manchester United, his move to Manchester United could be dependent on what happens with Romelu Lukaku. Like I said, we've got to sell players, before we can truly buy again, to help us generate funds and rebuild the squad and all that. But I do believe Arsenal, do want at least around £56 million for him. Obviously, Arsenal did pay £56 million in from Borussia Dortmund back in January 2018. But reports actually, said last week, I think this was coming from the Italian press, and he did say he was keen on making a move to Manchester United was Aubameyang, and he did allegedly say, he had agreed a transfer to Manchester United. But Aubameyang's been at Arsenal since January 2018. He's got 2 years remaining on his deal with Arsenal. I don't think he'll be signing a new deal with Arsenal, and he's 30 years of age. I have always liked Aubameyang, especially during his Borussia Dortmund days and all that, because he's got that proven pedigree as a central striker. His goal-scoring pedigree is absolutely fantastic. He is predominantly a striker, but he can play out wide, so you can put him on the left, and you can also put him on the right. Last season, he won the Golden Boot, so he was the Premier League joint top goal scorer alongside Sadio Mane and Mohamed Salah. He scored 22 goals in the Premier League last season. I think since his arrival at Arsenal, he's made 49 appearances just in the Premier League and scored around 32 goals. So his stats are very, very impressive. But his attributes are fantastic. His finishing's good. He's got Lander's potential. He's also very, very good in the air. His movements are really, really good and all that. His tenacity is really, really good. So I like Aubameyang a lot, and I think he would, if he came to Manchester United, he would fit the Manchester United agenda and all that. But like I said, Man United and Arsenal, have done business in recent years, and I think if we did get a deal over the line for Aubameyang, I think he would make probably a sort of similar impact, to how Robin van Persie made when we did get him from Arsenal, back in 2012. When we did get him from Arsenal, back in 2012 and all that. But yeah, there has been quite a lot of rumours going on about it. But Arsenal obviously would be open to selling him anywhere, because obviously Arsenal want to offload a couple of their essential players, to help them generate funds and rebuild their squad, because Arsenal have obviously got a tight budget. Obviously they've only been given around 40 or 45 million pounds to spend this summer, and obviously Arsenal do believe that's going to be nowhere near enough, for them to address their deficiencies in their squad. Obviously I think Arsenal are in for Wilfred Zaha, I do believe, but I think Crystal Palace are demanding an extortionate amount, because Crystal Palace said they want around 80 million. So for Arsenal to fund the move for Wilfred Zaha, they're going to have to offload a couple of their essential players. So who could replace Romelu Lukaku at the football club? Obviously, we've been in for Paulo Dybala and all that. Mario Cardi has been spoken about. So if Lukaku leaves, who would you get in to currently replace him? Obviously, give you the breaking news yesterday in regards to Marcus Rashford. Very, very good news. Like I said, Rashford has agreed a new long-term contract with Manchester United. It got confirmed yesterday. He had signed a new 4-year deal with an option of further a year and all that. And I think it's a deal worth around £300,000 a week. Obviously, this makes him one of the highest played players at Manchester United and all that. And I think he's been given around a £220,000 pay rise, is it, or something like that? Because he was already on around £80,000 a week in his current deal, and his current deal has got around, his current deal has got 12 months left on it, with an option to extend it by a further year and all that. But like I said, it's a deal with around £300,000 a week. I think he will receive in the excess of around £200,000 a week with Rashford, but I think there's bonuses included, which will potentially rise up to around £300,000 a week. Obviously, Rashford has been at the club a long time. Obviously, he's been a Manchester United player, since the age of 7 and all that. He graduated from our youth system. Obviously, being in the senior squad of us, since 2016. Obviously, Marcus Rashford did make his Premier League debut. Against Arsenal, back in February 2016, and I think he made his senior debut at just the age of 18 and all that. And we do know how much of an imperative player that Marcus Rashford is, but we had been in negotiations of trying to get Marcus Rashford a new contract for quite some time, at least for the last 5 or 6 months. I think initially, actually, Rashford was demanding around £350,000 a week. Manchester United, I think, were reluctant to pay that. I think we was trying to lower the figure to around £250,000 a week, but now it was made official yesterday. we have now come to an agreement on a 4-year deal for him with an option of a 50-year, and the deal is worth around £300,000 a week and all that. Rashford for the club has made 170 appearances. I think he's scored around 45 goals in the first team and provided around 26 assists as Marcus Rashford. But like I said, very, very good news. And he's only 21 years of age, and I still believe he is the long-term solution for Manchester United. And we've got to see vast improvements in his game, going on into this season, because we do know Rashford has been inconsistent in the last couple of months, and that may be due to the injuries, he did sustain last season. So that might have had effect on his game and all that. But it's going to take Rashford a couple of years, to get him to that level, where he does currently want to be. We do know Barcelona have been in for him. Obviously, Barcelona have been seeing Rashford as a long-term replacement for Luis Suarez and all that. But good business for Manchester United, getting Marcus Rashford a new long-term contract. So this contract, he's under contract with us till 2023. Like I said, there's an option to extend it by further years. So it's going to take probably Rashford to this. He's going to take Rashford to the age of 25 or 26 years of age, and he'll be still pretty young then, will Rashford. So he's still got a hell of a lot of development in him. But yeah, technically a very, very good footballer is Rashford. Like I said, I didn't want Manchester United to sell him, and I don't think initially anywhere the club would orchestrate on selling him, even though Barcelona had been interested in him, also Real Madrid winning for him at one point. But yeah, he's under contract with the club till 2023 with an option to extend it by a further year. So like I said on my video yesterday, I'm very, very delighted about this news. Like I said, I'm still very sceptical of Alexis Sanchez leaving. I think we're going to find it difficult, to actually, get rid of Alexis Sanchez because obviously, this is actually, reflecting on his substantial wages he's on, because he's on 400 grand a week. Potentially rising up to 500 grand a week, based on the image rights and the bonuses and all that. And his wages having a really bad effect on the football club. But like I said, we're struggling to get rid of him. I think the only way we can get rid of Sanchez is probably loaning him out, or Manchester United come to some kind of agreement of letting him go on a long season loan, and Manchester United agree, to pay half of his wages off and all that. So possibly Sanchez will continue applying his trade with Manchester United next season. He is 30 years of age anyway, and Sanchez looking at ultimately, doesn't have a future at the club. Does Sanchez? He doesn't have a future at the club. He is 30 now. He has lost that yard of pace, but Sanchez hasn't been the fundamental player as we all thought he would have been. Especially reflecting back what he did at Arsenal. Obviously, even played under Guardiola's guidance. When he was younger at Barcelona, and he flourished under Guardiola's guidance, but he just hasn't replicated any of this form at Manchester United. So he has been a huge disappointment. But I think we definitely need to get rid of him. But yeah, guys, that's mainly everything to update you today. Like the main part of this video was to give you some more additional information about Bruno Fernandes, also give you a bit more information about Sean Longstaff, and give you the latest news about Paul Pogba. So Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, I think, wants 2 deals completed this week. He wants Sean Longstaff's transfer to Manchester United completed this week. I think he also wants to get a deal over the line for Bruno Fernandes this week and all that. But like I did say, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer did say last month, he wanted the majority of our transfer business done by the July the 1st term and all that. But hopefully, we can make 2 more signings this week. And I didn't expect us a contract renewal this week. But yeah, we've got Rashford a new long-term contract, and that's very, very good news. So anyway, guys, drop your comments, likes below on the channel. If you do consider subscribe, as always, and take care. God bless, and I'll see you all again very, 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 very soon. Thanks for watching.